Hey, it's Anthony again from AvGeek Assemble. I'm going to do one of my creative edits today using Lightroom and Photoshop, as it's been one of the most requested editing style videos so far in the comments, which thank you very much for all your good feedback. So yeah, let's get cracking. Let's go. So the first thing is, this is the shot I'm going to be using. So it's F35A from RAF Lakenheath, coming through the Mac Loop back in May this year. It's one of the sharper shots that I caught that day, with quite a good amount of detail. So first thing I want to do, obviously just get a crop. I quite like a 16:10 crop, which I think is a good aspect ratio for aircraft. I just want to spend a little bit of time getting that right in the frame. I just want to be even. If I'm going to cut the pylon off on one side, I want to cut it off on the other side as well. So let's have a look at that. Yep, that looks pretty good. Yeah, fills the frame well, plenty of detail. So now I'm going to go into my edits. So just bring down the exposure a little bit. The jet's a little bit bright. You might have noticed I used the landscape color profile. It's just my preference in my editing workflow. Other people might have other profiles that they pick. Just bringing down the highlights and up the shadows just a little bit. Just trying to level out the exposure, make the jet pop a little bit off the background. Bringing in a bit of texture and a bit of dehaze just to aid that process. Sometimes a little bit of clarity helps as well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Right, what I want to do, just make sure that, yeah, just want to just affect the colours here. So on the hue HSL tab, just bring down the greens and the yellows just to give it a bit more of a rustic sort of almost autumn colour tone, especially for the greens in the background. Don't want to add any sharpening or anything like that. No vignettes. We do want to do a bit of editing just on the subject though, so we'll have a look at that. It takes a few seconds just to highlight the subject. That's done a pretty good job. Well done, Lightroom. So yeah, I don't need to do any adjustments there. Right, so what I'll do, just bring down. No, I won't touch the exposure. I'm going to bring up the clarity a bit more just on the jet, just so that it's a bit more vibrant in the screen. I didn't bring any sharpness into the overall edit, but I will do into the jet again, just to make it pop away from the background that isn't as sharp. Then I just want to affect the color balance, temperature, sorry. Just trying to make the jet not look blue, but also not look yellow, because it's neither of them. So just messing with the tint here. I think the tint's all right as it is. Yeah, I think I need to bring up the temperature of the image itself. That's getting there. Might just go back into the that's it, just bring the temperature of the jet down a little bit more when that's finished thinking about it. Yep, I'm happy with that. Good stuff. Notice there on the histogram, the shadows are clipping slightly, so just bring up the blacks a little bit. You can use the tone curve for that. Some people prefer to use that. I'm quite happy to just use the sliders, to be honest. So I'm happy with those bits. So we'll bring it into Photoshop now and do some blurring of the background, a little bit more blurred in the background. And by the power of editing, we are here. I didn't make you wait all that time for it to load. Right, so first things first, just using the lasso tool, just a rough outline around the jet. That's all we need here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to make the jet disappear using the content aware fill tool, and then we will blur the background and then mask in the jet back onto that background. So I'll show you how to do that now. So now we've got the lasso, that's great. Going to content aware fill. And there we go. As if by magic, the jet has disappeared. So we'll click OK on that, wait for it to do its thing. There we go, jet's gone. Let's just deselect that to get rid of the marching ants and flatten the image, otherwise it won't work. That'll just get rid of the layers. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use path blur. So we just use this arrow to drag the blur in the direction we want it to be moving. You can also use motion blur in the blur gallery in the same menu, but I find that it's too much blur. I mean, you'd have to have a shutter speed of about 1/10 of a second to have that much blur, whereas the path blur is a little bit less harsh. Yeah, I think that's I just want the direction to so I was panning from right to left as you look at the screen, so I just want the blur to be pointing from left to right, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think that'll do. Yep, okay when you're happy with that. And there we go. So what we do now, we'll save that. If we just click on the X, click save, that will save back into the quick collection that I was using in Lightroom. So if we go back into Lightroom, there we go, 2 images are there. So we've got the blurred background and the original edit with the jet. There we go. So if we just highlight them both, control, and then we open as layers in Photoshop. So that will bring both images into Photoshop now. There we go, got both layers in. So what we need to do is select and mask the jet layer. So we go select and mask, select subject. Now this is pretty good. Normally picks out the subject pretty well. So as you can see, it's done mostly a good job, but it's just left some of the shaded parts of the back of the jet, the tail and the elevator. So I'm just going to go around with a brush and just brush that back in. I will speed up this bit because this will take a bit of time. Now this might seem like a lot of effort and a lot of work for some people, but if you're going to be doing a creative edit on your aviation photos, then I think you do need to take the time to just make sure that all those little fine details are as good as you can get them. At the end of the day, you want to be posting your best work, and if you're going to be posting a creative edit on your social media or something you want to print out, then you don't want to be noticing those little imperfections. So it's worth taking the time to just mask out these little bits and bobs. that looks pretty good now. I'm quite happy with that. And what we do then is we will apply a layer mask onto that image, and then what you can see there is obviously once we've applied it onto the image with the jet. I don't know why I've moved it down. There we go. You can see now that it's put the top image on top of the bottom image. So if we turn that off, you can see that it's masked the jet on top of the blurred background, which is exactly what we wanted. So flatten the image again so that we've got no layers. Great. Again, just use the X, press save, and it will come back into the quick collection in Lightroom. And there it is. So just do a couple of last minute touches. Might just want to affect the overall lighting in the image just a little bit. A little bit more texture and dehaze just to make the jet pop a bit more. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a linear gradient to affect the lighting in the background. So if we bring a linear gradient in, bring down the exposure, but what we want to do is we don't want it to affect the jet. So if we put intercept mask with select subject, it then won't affect the jet so much. All we need to do is just invert that. That's the one we want to keep. Get rid of that one. There we go. So, as you can see, that linear gradient now, you can move across the jet. So that won't affect the jet at all, but it will affect the background. So just bring down the exposure a tad. Just bring that linear gradient back up a tad. Let's bring that down. There we go. So the gradient now is like affecting the background and the lower half of the jet, keeping the top half in the sun. And that's it. I'm happy with that. And then we just export. Make sure you've got your watermark on there. So Valkyrie blur edit. Job's a good one. Left hand side, that should work well. And there's the finished edit, which I'm very happy with. I hope that helps. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please chuck them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer all of them and come back to you with any insights or explanations if that's what's needed. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Obviously do all the things, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you fancy it, share it. If you think that it will be useful for somebody, that would be great. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and I'll see you at the fence. Cheers.